People say a lot of things about our generation. We've been called Generation Prescription, Generation Multitask, Gen MySpace, Gen Y, Generation this, and Generation that. We play video games, we're fat, we're overbooked, overstressed, and hopelessly plastic. They say we lack political ideals and don't have the moral values this country is in need of. We call these people adults. And for our purposes, we're the Millennial generation.
What happens as you grow older is that you kind of make up your mind about what's happening to kids. You often do it, you may do it at age 30 or 40 or 50, but usually, at some point, and then you no longer really re-examine anything anymore. And a lot of boomers sort of made up their mind, and they kind of saw a little bit what was happening to Gen Xers, and they may or may not, they may remember what happened to their older kids, and they don't really go back and re-examine it.
There is no question, none at all, that the millennials are the smartest generation in our history. Their intelligence takes forms that older generations sometimes don't understand.
Millennials are not Gen X on steroids, which is a lot of the Gen Y stuff, particularly in advertising when it came out in the late 90s, projected that image of a generation that would be more cynical in the culture than Generation X, more distant from parents and family life, more free agent-like in the economy, more prone to risk-taking and sex, drugs, and violence and things like that. That image has not been fulfilled. And in fact, when we look at a lot of the behavioral indicators of this new millennial generation, we find that we've seen an incredible reversal. And a lot of these indicators, a very positive reversal that is almost nowhere talked about by the media.
Sweet guy. I love it. I love it a lot. So that is Neil Howe and William Strauss, who together have written several books about generations, one entitled Generations, one entitled Millennials Rising, The Fourth Turning, and they also have a company called Life Course Associates, which is basically there to advise other companies on how to market and reach other generations.
Right. What they did was they looked at America's history and how young people and old people were treated throughout it. And they noticed that history is basically made up of a series of repeating generational archetypes.
Right.
And so what happens is each generation comes along and it responds to the generation that came before it. And this means it generally corrects for the excesses of that generation. But at the same time, they're creating their own excesses, which the next generation then comes along and corrects.
Yeah, exactly. So basically what we're saying is these guys are not idiots.
Yeah.
They do know what they're talking about. And according to their theory...
What's some school called Yale?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Harvard.
I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know it. It's kind of a small liberal arts school. But basically what it was is... their theory is that millennials are part of a civic generation, which is exactly like how it sounds. It means we're a bunch of do-gooders and communitarians. But
Also prone to groupthink.
yeah, exactly. We're prone to groupthink, and we kind of need to be coddled in places like school or the workplace. But all right, so the deal is that those generalizations kind of cut sharp, and that is pretty much precisely why Ray and I are going to make this film.
And the plan is pretty simple. We're just going to graduate from college, load up the rodeo, and get out there and meet as many people as possible.
It's not a discovery of the self type film or a road trip documentary. We just want to travel around and get as many different voices from as many different places as possible. Yeah, so...
Yeah, so that's probably good for the introduction.
You think? I think it sounded pretty good. Our first stop?
We're going to Fort Worth, Texas, and we're going to meet up with this guy who runs an artist collective space, which should be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, if the opinions on what our generation is like, we should be doing heroin through our eyeballs and having oral sex.
Yeah.
I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Yeah, let's go.
Done.
It's a place for kids to come that's drug-free and alcohol-free, and so that's pretty positive as far as keeping kids in here until 11:30 or midnight on a weeknight or weekend.
Let's go look at the free store. You gotta explain that.
Well, it's filthy right now.
Alright, this is the free store.
Free store is filthy right now, and that's because we're pulling up the carpet in here and we're going to put down linoleum or something, which is going to be cleaner in the long run. The free store idea, it's there for poor people, maybe people who can't afford clothes, people who want to get rid of clothes and make them available to others, It's self-sustaining. Surprising number of the clothes that come in get taken, and very few clothes get left behind.
What about the books over here?
This is
Bookstore?
This is the library.
Okay.
We have a lot of radical books and some, funny books like Barbara Bush's memoir.
I mean, people just check these out and bring them back, I guess, since it's a library.
It's an honor system right now.
Right.
So some books don't return, but a lot of books do. Bands contact us when they want to set up a show, or somebody involved with the space wants to set up a show and gets bands involved. And right now we're just kind of a must-hit venue as far as North Texas DIY scene goes.
Right. Does the place pay for itself?
Yep. Through donations at shows. We don't charge a cover. We just ask for donations, and it's lasted. Bands play here. We have a giant screen that we kind of bring out for movie screenings that we project. We have the speakers around back, so it's theater style, loud surround sound and everything. And we make signs. There's all those signs over there we've made here. We basically just try to support the community as best we can from an art perspective and from a political perspective.
Some kid is in their city, in their community, and they're looking to start a space, where things like this can go on. What advice do you have there for that?
Stick with your original vision and run with it. Keep yourself as open as possible to all the possibilities. You'll find support from quarters that you really didn't associate yourself with before. It's amazing what people want in their city, and what they're willing to do to keep things that they want there. It doesn't have to be a space. I mean, if you really want a liberated item, something that's liberated in your community, make a zine. If you don't have the money, there's a lot of options. Make a MySpace and start having people meet in the park and sew. You could start a sewing circle. There's a lot of things.
Every generation has all kinds of people.
Right.
And what causes generational changes is that there's a core of the generation that everybody has to deal with. You might be one of the leaders, you might be one of the followers, you might be one of the people who has to resist it and finds it a bother to resist it, but one way or another, it's there. What would be the core millennial? It would be the special kid, the high achiever, the brilliant tech kid, the very ambitious and accomplished resume building young girl, the high school or college kid who is so heavily programmed in so many activities, always having in the back of his or her mind what this is going to mean and getting accepted into the next level, who's constantly on the phone with mom and dad and with friends from high school or college, who is just very comfortable with rapid move of information, who feels that his or her generation is very powerful, and that part of the reason that he or she has to stay on the straight and narrow and make sure that no huge mistakes are made is because if you make just a slip or two, everybody else is going to pass you by, and where's that going to leave you when you want to get to the next stage? So the average millennial is a high-achieving person who is stressed out. There are many more millennials doing things for their community than is true of other age brackets or was true of other generations when young. It's the same thing we saw with the GI generation back in the late 20s into the 30s. The millennials do have this desire to do things for the community, in part because they look at older generations not doing such a good job at that, so it's a way that you can come along and be different and feel like you're making a mark.
The emphasis on community service, service learning, service is a requirement. I often ask, I used to ask Gen Xers what they thought of community service, and the first thing they used to say, it's punishment. You did something wrong. You do community service. You've been bad. You do community. Well, that's the association they have with it, right? I have to serve the community if I've been bad. I mean, think about it. Whereas millennials is much more a common expectation. Everyone has to do something at some point.
You can go back to bed
Yeah.
afterwards.
After we move,
Just
you're
get her to
watching
buy you
shit.
coffee.
Yeah. I'll buy you some Starbucks.
Okay. Do you have coffee?
Can I be
What?
included in that?
No. Yeah, we can drive over to you, and if you want to wake up at 7:45, I'll come bring you some
You're back.
Starbucks.
You wake up at 7:45 just for coffee.
I love coffee.
Yeah.
I love coffee. Terry and I go out to coffee all the time. So what else? Should I just tell you random stuff?
And then
You're fine. Do whatever you gotta do. Alright, so let's start this off here. Have you been recording? Oh, I didn't know that. Alright, so what's your name?
Rebecca Gittleson.
And where are you from? You live
I'm from
in
Atlanta, Georgia.
Alright, so you are planning on going to Israel this summer?
Yeah.
How long are you gonna be there for?
5 weeks in Israel and a week in Spain. We're staying in youth hostels and hotels, and then we're gonna take shorter trips to other places. Like we'll have a kind of base camp at one hostel, and then we'll go out from there to do different things. And then we're just gonna see all the tourist sites and do some community service. We're going caving and snorkeling, which I'm very excited about. So
what kind
that.
of community service are you gonna get involved with?
I don't really know yet. I think it's different every year, so we'll
So are
see.
you really excited about doing that kind of thing? Because I know there's quite a bit of community service
Yeah.
that can be done in Israel.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that because I do community service at home too.
Okay. What kind of community service do you do here?
Well, last summer I went with my best friend to Wyoming for 2 weeks. We did like a teen program. We also worked at this $500 plate wine auction and music festival. Well, last year I tutored some middle schoolers in math. We took down barbed wire fences and put up elk enclosures on Harrison Ford's lodge out there. I met this senator from Miami who my grandmother taught in elementary school. I went on this trip where I got to talk to one of Lewis's aides. He's my district's representative. Last summer, I also interned with the Florida Democratic Party, and I got hours for that.
At this age, you can't even drive yet, and you're already doing this stuff.
So yeah, I mean, just thinking about competing. I mean, I'm not a very competitive person, but thinking about how a lot of us want to go like to the same colleges and stuff. I mean, I don't really want to think about college yet, but I don't know. When my parents mention that kind of stuff to me, and then I compare what I've done to, you know, all of them, sports, music, straight A's, every kid there. It's kind of, not every kid, but it's kind of scary.
So supposedly this is the largest peach in America.
Who told you that?
There's
There's the butt crack on the other side.
Yeah, there's the butt crack on the other side. So we stopped, we talked. Apparently it's the largest in America. Germany actually has a bigger peach. A lot of people don't know that Germany's really into peaches. But they are, actually.
We often call this generation sheltered. This is the second great wave of child protection of the 20th century. Everything from the home child-proofing industry, which was huge in the late 80s. Everyone now has to proof their homes. You get these little handles and all these things for the stove covers and all that. To all the laws and regulations, you know, from V-chips to urban curfews to cops and shops to graduated driver's license and all the things now we do to protect Millennial.
You can smoke while we're filming.
Oh yeah, totally.
Get it off of me! Oh my god!
It's not on. It's not recording.
I don't care. Then why's the little red light blinking?
That just means that the camera's on. Like he's just putting you in focus.
Right.
I mean, I was filming you, but I was only using you to set the focus.
Okay, well, we do that.
I didn't know if you were waiting for a last name. I was like, Sarah.
All right, we'll try this again. Your name is
Sarah Brown.
Sarah Brown.
I'm Paula Brown.
And how are you two related?
That's my daughter.
You done?
I had a wonderful childhood. Loving parents. I think my life was one of going out. I didn't see my mom till lunch and dinner.
And how does that differ from Sarah's childhood?
Well, I think that it's just different because I was always you became overly protective because of what the world was happening out in the world. You heard of all the child molesters and people just coming and snatching your children. I think that we as parents, from our age, we didn't have that when we were growing up. Now, with the girls, I felt like I had to keep my eyes on them. I had to have earshot or eyesight on them at all times. I didn't feel comfortable just letting them just go out and run.
You feel bad about that?
Oh, I do. I feel bad that, I feel like I gave them fear. I put Shannon more in fear of things. I put Sarah
I had fears, but I had different fears.
What were your fears?
I was like, I did bad things only because I didn't think that I was capable of doing any better.
You thought you were not capable of doing any better?
Mm-hmm.
So you had, did you have a low self-esteem, you'd say?
Yeah.
Looking back on it now, what do you think made you feel like you weren't?
Inferior.
Yeah, what would make you feel that way, looking back on it?
Other kids and family has a lot to do with it too.
So, can you elaborate on that?
Well, I feel like, I know my sister don't feel this way, but I feel like because my sister was always better than me in school, and she had sports and good grades, could play sports. I didn't. I was so far behind in English and in math. Well, I wasn't really far behind. I never got my basics down in elementary school because we always had calculators. So I never learned my multiplication tables and division and doing decimals and fractions, and I never knew how to do that kind of stuff. Well, geometry and algebra hits me. I have to know how to do that kind of stuff. Well, then they came out with the graphing calculator, so I didn't need to know how to do it. So it was like I had all this kind of worked out for me on a calculator or on this little computer thing, and
So you just never learned the basics?
so I never learned the basics. And in English, I can't spell, can't read. I can read, but
You can't read.
well, I can read. I have problems pronouncing.
So what kind of books can you read? Can you read
I don't read.
picture books?
Yeah, I can read picture books.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we'll talk about it when I have to say that. Thank you.
So, how old were you? You got pregnant, right?
Mhm.
And how old were you when you got pregnant?
17.
And you had the baby
Right after I turned 18.
right after you turned 18. And so, what was the general reaction?
My grandfather cried.
Yeah, I'm crying. My grandma just hugged me and said everything was going to be okay.
So did you adopt the baby?
I did. I put him up for adoption. And he's a year old now. And I think having him made me grow up in a sense, where I have more motherly thoughts, even though he's not with me.
Where is he?
He is with a great family here in Charlotte, and he's beautiful. He's big.
Do you get to see him at all?
I do.
So,
I've seen him 3 times since he's been born.
what are the laws about, will you ever
he, as far as the laws on adoption and all this, I had an open adoption. So at any age he wants to, I mean, I'm always going to be there for him. I mean, I may not be his mother physically, but I always want them to tell him that, you know, I'm there for him no matter what. I mean, I'll be your best friend, buddy. I don't care. I just want to have some part of his life, and the laws containing that are, I just can't.
You can't seek him out?
Not so much. I can call to see how he is and stuff, and ask to see him. But if they don't want me to, then, you know, everything has to be on their time, their this, their that. You know, it's not about me anymore. And I don't know.
The idea that they are special in the eyes of their parents. Every millennial knows, because their parents is constantly bugging, you know, the teachers and faculty in schools. They're even calling up employers now, you know. So millennials are aware of the specialness.
It's an interesting dynamic. The way baby boomers have gone from rebelling against society's rules to basically creating as many rules as possible. They grew their hair out long, but they want their kids in uniforms. They dropped out of college so they could hitchhike to Woodstock, but they won't let their kid walk down the street by himself because of some sexual predator. It's something to think about as we talk to millennials. What will we be like when we're 50? How will their rules have affected us? How will our kids see us? Will they see us the same as the baby boomers saw their parents? Anyway, it's something to think about as we head to Hudson, Ohio to talk to Derek's 8th grade teacher. He's a Gen Xer, so maybe he can offer some perspective.
All right, we're heading to Hudson, Ohio, which is like southeast of Cleveland. I'm not exactly sure how far out it is, but that's where I kind of grew up. I lived there for 9 years of my life, and I moved in the middle of 8th grade or toward the end of 8th grade. So I haven't seen many of the people that I'm about to see in, 8, 9 years. It's kind of exciting for me, actually, and I'm kind of nervous at the same time. And this is kind of where like all of my childhood was here. Alright, so this is the gazebo. This is kind of one of the biggest things in Hudson. Hudson's a really small town. And there's the gazebo, which is this, and then there's a clock tower over there, which we'll go and I'll definitely take you through that. But a lot of people do weddings and things of this nature right here. And I used to come up here with ice cream and just kind of chill, so I could ride my bike up here when I was like 10. A lot of memories there. So let's bounce. Let's go see some other
Hold on. What are the memories?
What are the memories?
Yeah, I mean, first time to second base, what's going on at the gazebo?
I think a lot of times what the memories I had were just me and my friends coming up here. Like I had a really close group of friends when I lived here, and so we'd come up here quite a bit and just kind of chill. I mean, if there were like 5 of us here and just talking about stupid things. I mean, when you're 10 years old, you're talking about all these things about girls that you really don't have a clue. I didn't have a clue. Maybe some 10-year-olds know what's going on, but I didn't. But we'd just sit down here, probably just ride our bikes up.
Walk down here after school?
Yeah. I totally walk down here after school a lot. Cause the strip right here, it's changed a lot in the last like 9 years or whatever, but it was really kind of this just quaint town, and it still is. But there's this drugstore over here called Saywell's, and you could get the best malts, and I would always come up there, and there's this bookstore right here called the Learned Owl, and when we were maybe in 4th or 5th grade, there was a rumor that if you went upstairs, there was a hidden like penthouse or Playboy section, and you had to like reach on top of the shelves or something. So we'd all be kind of walking around like trying to like guard it, and then it wasn't true. There was nothing there, but we always tried to find it because seeing a naked woman just
at the Learned Owl.
At the Learned Owl of all places. Alright, this is my old neighborhood right here. So I'm excited to see, but I'm really nervous to see.
Kids are just very protected and sacred. I think that filters in to lots of parents defending their kids when they shouldn't be. I don't know how many times I'll get an email from a parent and I'll think, what you did here actually hurt your kid, because the lesson, I'm not vicious in what I did, or what I did is absolutely justified, and the student knows it. I know it. There's so much fear that kids won't succeed. So there's a lot of pressure on the kids to succeed, things like that. But now there's an expectation that most teachers in this building have their grades posted on the internet and their assignments and all of this. So now if a teacher doesn't have things posted on the internet, many parents will be very concerned. I'm used to going online at night and checking what's due tomorrow and so on. But it's really interesting. I see this panic by the adults to make the kids succeed. So it's fascinating to see those changes since when I was a kid. The amount of involvement on the adults' side.
What do you think the effect is of that extra pressure on the kids? I mean, there's been some reports of higher signs of anxiety are showing up younger and younger.
To some extent, it can be very positive. I mean, it's such a range at this level, and it's developmental. So some of the kids absolutely respond to that. I get kids that are so responsible, they'll save their assignment sheets all year long, and you can tell it's turning them into organized people. And then of course other kids can be overwhelmed. I've seen that too. Kids just kind of, this is real interesting. I see a strategy is because the adults can be desperate to have the kids succeed. Teachers having parents attacking them for a kid not succeeding. So next thing you know, everybody's kind of desperate to see success. And I think that some kids become successful because of it. Some kids, well, what I was getting at earlier was that sometimes teachers tend to use scare tactics. Have to have this by 9th grade. If you're not ready by 9th grade, oh my gosh, the world's gonna end. But I know I do it too, and that's put these scare tactics in. If you don't do this, oh my gosh, you're never gonna make it in high school. And I think the parents do it, we all do it, and the effect on kids is some kids shut down. I think we're scared to death of the future, and I think teachers and parents are kind of like, what's gonna become of you? I have no doubt it's overwhelming being a teenager now compared to when I was a teenager. Just go to the drug thing. Drugs in high schools versus the drugs that were in my high school. And I think the adults are terrified, and you guys know nothing different. You guys are just adapting as these things come. And so in a way, you guys are experts on what you're seeing, and we're just, gosh, what's that like to go through? What's it like to see that, or to have somebody try to sell you their Ritalin. We didn't have that. So I don't know, there's a lot of fear on the adult side. You want to see something real was when I punched you last night at the pool table. You have the camera go.
Decked me, man.
I actually felt kind of bad, but I warned them many times. Like I said in the interview, I like to give fair warning. I think I warned you about 6 times this weekend.
What was it I said that made you?
What did you say?
It was. I really served you though.
You did. You did.
I mean, I was just going off yesterday.
Can we get a reenactment of the hotel line?
The what?
The motel line.
The motel line?
Yeah.
No.
When y'all were arguing about whether or not there used to be a motel there.
Yeah, that was a moment. That was a good one.
Oh yeah, when you told me that.
Yeah, you were trying to
There seriously was.
You're trying to prove that you remember the community this many years later. When
Dude,
you're so
I'm
clearly
telling you, there may have been a motel there, and I kind of remember the motel. You know where that water park is, on 91, down right at Stowe.
Leisure Time?
No,
Yeah.
Is it Leisure Time?
That's been there since I was there, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, I apologize. I apologize for schooling.
Let's just redo the line now.
But there was a motel.
There was a
there.
motel there because I remember rendezvousing with Derek's mom at the hotel. They just raised it. It's not there anymore.
That's ridiculous. Can't wait to show my mom that.
Yeah.
And my dad.
All right, we were saying you went to Purdue.
Yeah, I went to Purdue for physical therapy.
What happened?
Okay, well, during finals week, 3 of my friends and I were studying for about 9 hours the day before we had the first test, and we got really bored. I was doing my Ron Burgundy and Yoda and anything else I can do voices, and they were laughing about it, having a good time, and they started telling me to call some of their friends, and we called about 8 or 9 people. It was my friend Katie's friend, and they'd known each other since 8th grade, went to high school together. So anyway, we call this girl, and I'm doing like Ron Burgundy to her and all that, and her boyfriend answers, gets on, and starts acting like he's Brian Fantana, so playing along. And the next day she calls my friend Katie, and like I'm there, and she was basically lying about everything we said to her, like saying we were outside her house, and that we were like stalking her and saying really creepy things. So the next day after that, we get a call from the sheriff's department by where the girl lives, and they're saying that was harassment and that we could get charges filed on us and get in trouble. And then about a week after that happened, like after we got home from school, the 4 of us that made all the prank phone calls were hanging out at my house for dinner, and the girl's mom called my friend Katie, threatening her with all this stuff, and she was threatening that she was going to get us kicked out of Purdue. Yeah, we had to go see the dean, Katie and I did, and we had a lawyer with us, and basically, like, he was just asking us questions about what happened that night, and, like, just asking us what was true and what wasn't, but it was pretty clear when we got in there that he'd already made up his mind that everything that they had put in their statements were true. Actually, it was kind of funny about the statements, because the girl that we called that was so-called distressed by all this only wrote 2 pages. Her mom wrote 5. They even put a prom picture in there, and we were just like, what's this in here? That's ridiculous. But anyway, so we got done talking to the dean, and we got our answer 2 days later, and my friend Katie only got disciplinary probation, which is a good thing, but I got suspended for a semester. So
What were your parents' reaction when you told them were they surprised?
my dad kind of laughed about it and called me a dumbass, and said that like he should have been arrested for a lot of stuff that he did in college. And my mom, like, she was kind of upset about the whole thing, but she knew it was kind of stupid, and that, like, she even told me that she felt really bad because the girl was way overreacting.
Well, this is a generation that was given medication if they acted out in high school or in younger grades, and the question of somebody actually being flagrantly different or taking a big chance and having that chance turn successful is harder now. And that's one issue that's confronting boys in school now and young men in college, in that it's a little bit of a male thing to take the spectacular chance. And you can have a series of hellacious days and then a spectacular day and then another hellacious day. Well, in the business world, that's the successful entrepreneur. It's a very X kind of thing. But in the millennial world, that's a person who gets a D, an F, an A+, and a C, and you add it all up together and it's a C-. Whereas the person who just is compliant and friendly and gets along and gets everything in on time, nothing spectacular or too creative, but always the answer's pretty close to being right, that's an A-, B+. And everything is stacked in favor of that latter person.
I was prescribed Adderall when I was 12.
And why were you prescribed Adderall?
Well, I could never sit still in class, and I was always up talking, and my teachers thought it'd be a good idea if I went and got checked if I have ADD or ADHD or dyslexia or anything like that.
Your demeanor changed? You were a completely different person?
Oh, yeah. Completely.
How so?
I'm a very outgoing person. I talk to everybody, funny, laughing, always moving around, and when I took medicine, it was the exact opposite of that. I never talked to anybody, just sat in my seat, looked forward, almost robotic. Do this, do this. It was, very white and black. There was no gray. When I was on the medicine, that's all it was white and black. You do what they're told, and that's it. It was just people who maybe were just a little bit more energetic, and then all of a sudden they give them pills because they want them to sit still. and they're not willing to take the time to keep their attention and go that little extra step.
So, what do you think about prescribing it to kids now? Do you think it's a good thing always, or do you think it's overly
No,
done?
I don't think it's a good thing always, but there are extreme cases, and I think that society today is getting too much into medicating people and medicating children, and oh, everybody needs Adderall. Oh my God, Now it just seems like everybody's taking it because it'll make you concentrate better, apparently.
All right, so you are.
I'm Luke Rohn, and I am a licensed professional counselor.
Let's talk about for a minute about the abuse that people from our generation, people older than us, do using drugs like Adderall and Ritalin and other prescription drugs like OxyContin, things of this nature. In your studies, have you found a lot of these kind of problems?
Yeah, the pill addiction is becoming real troubling. I think it's getting a little bit more public exposure in the press as being problematic. I've heard a little bit of buzz about what they call farm parties, which is PHARM parties, where they will raid their parents' closets and throw all pills of every color into a bag and just start, gobbling them down like they're trail mix and to see what happens. And I anticipate that we'll see more fatalities from that. And I should tell you, every drug that's on the street now started with some type of either religious or medical intent, and then somehow got demonized when we found out that, hey, it's causing some problems here. And then the third step was that it hits the streets. Every drug, from marijuana to heroin to cocaine to alcohol, all of it started with some good intent. And a lot of times the pharmaceutical companies were right behind it, cheering it on. So I think we're going to see that happen with a lot more of these drugs that are that we're watching on TV now. And now, with all of the pills that we have out there, think about the potential for that happening with everything that's being marketed. It could, Ritalin could become the next, demon drug that everybody is clamoring about. We got a pill for everything. I'm sure we'll find a pill for that, spiritual emptiness.
I began the Cappies along with a teacher in the area right after Columbine when I did a TV show about youth violence. And there was a girl who was appearing on that show, and we chatted in the green room, and I asked her what she did in high school. And she said she was a theater critic, except she couldn't be one because she was always in her school shows and there was nothing else to review. And we sort of mused at the idea, well, maybe it would be fun to review shows at other schools, and maybe your paper would print those, and vice versa. And she agreed and thought that'd be kind of interesting. So I called up the Washington Post and I said, would you publish a 200-word review written by student A of a show at school B? And the editor said, 200 words is too short. How about 300 to 400 words, and let's have it 2 reviews, not 1, and can I send a photographer? And what had happened is a very millennial moment. They themselves at the Washington Post had realized that they had to have more positive coverage of teenagers. What we're seeing in particular, and the situation with Muddy Water is an example of that, is a desire of the full ethnic range of this generation to participate in it. And colorblind casting is here to stay. We're seeing it first in high school theater, and it's going to sweep across the culture as millennials come of age. I'm delighted that the Cappies are taking a major hand in making that possible.
I was in theater in high school, and I have never seen so many people from one city. These people are all from the DC area. I've never seen so many people in theater come together like this and just kind of, they're here, like they have student critics talking about each other's work and everything like that. It's just amazing that these kids are coming together like this, so organized and making, I mean, seriously, there's a band playing in the other room, there's kids all over the red carpet and black ties and everything. It's just absolutely amazing. Now, we do have people here, though, who are wearing their new hot cooter outfits. They brought them just for this night.
Are you sure it's cooter?
I'm sorry?
Are you sure it's cooter?
I'm pretty sure it's hot cooter.
I think it's hot couture.
That's embarrassing. That is. They're hot couture. They're, wow, I don't even know if I can go on. Tell us, what's your name?
Alex Eady.
Alex Eady, what are you doing here?
I'm performing.
You're performing in which piece? Which part? Which?
Les Mis for Herndon.
Oh, okay. I saw you guys during the dress rehearsal.
Yeah, we're pretty good.
And modest too.
Yeah, we're pretty modest.
Okay. Are y'all gonna win the competition, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, why do you think that?
Because we're good.
Okay, and the other schools?
Not so good.
Not so
best.
Okay, Herndon.
Herndon,
All right.
you'll see. H-Town, we're going all the way.
Definitely. All right, so what is this thing exactly? What are we at?
Kennedy Center.
But what is the event?
Cabbies.
Which are?
It's like student critics from around the DC area, and they come and judge the shows, and then we all get awards.
So you guys have been judged good, and everybody else not so good, you think?
We're one of the top 5 musicals.
Right. But the other 4 musicals you said are not so good.
We're gonna beat them.
Oh, okay. That guy is very confident.
Each won Cappy Awards, one as lead performer in a musical and the other as featured performer in a musical. Their song won the Cappy too. We invited them to present this song on a recent C-SPAN show, but they were denied rights to sing it by the Rodgers and Hammerstein organization. The reason given was their race. When they requested rights to sing it at the Baltimore Cabbies Gala, they were again denied.
Full name?
Yeah.
Nicholas Bernard Lehan.
Okay.
James Thomas Frisbee.
Now, you guys are Huck and Jim.
Yes.
Right. All right. Who's Huck?
I'm Huck.
You're Huck and you're Jim.
I'm Jim.
I thought Jim was black. He's a slave, right?
Right. Fortunately, we were able to break like the confines of like a normal casting, and we used this thing called not stereotype.
Colorblind casting.
Colorblind casting. And we used that to kind of enhance the story in a way that it was more about human rights instead of just simply about color.
But like when we were first cast, we didn't start out to like make a statement. It kind of just like turned out into that.
Yeah,
it was cast this way because like I'm smaller and I have a higher voice.
I have a lower voice and I'm just a little bit taller.
When did it become, like, when did you start to realize there was, like, man, I'd be a political statement there?
Not till after they.
Not till after they said that we were going to do it on C-SPAN. That was when it became a big, huge political statement. Because Rodgers and Hammerstein, they didn't believe that this type of casting didn't preserve the integrity of Mark Twain's masterpiece, Huckleberry Finn. But we still want to continue the fight. We want them to change their policy, because in high school theater, you really can't control what you're pulling from, what pool you're pulling from, because you can't control who goes to your high school.
We told RNH that race-based casting violates the educational mission of schools, is not good theater. In many schools, it's not possible, and by the way, it's illegal. The good news is after we told them that, Rodgers and Hammerstein gave in and granted these 2 young men the right to sing this song at our gala.
Since the controversy, how has your school been supportive?
Everyone in our school,
100%
yeah, everyone get calls from everybody. Everybody's like, we're behind you 100%. People we don't even know on the street come up and are like,
oh,
we're behind you guys. It's great. They've gotten into it. Everybody has.
Why do you think it was that they wouldn't let you, why Rodgers and Hammerstein wouldn't let you use the song?
Sometimes people just get just in a box of this is the way things have to be, this is the way things were, and this is the way things are going to be from now on. And whenever someone steps out of that box or challenges a certain way of thought, it just throws people off, and they get all bent out of shape and just shut down and say no, not at all. This can't be. And maybe that's what happened.
Young people as a generation, race is not the biggest issue.
Race isn't an issue. It's natural evolution of our society. It's come on our shoulders kind of to destroy and get rid of all these kind of racism against your ethnicity, your sexuality, anything, you know, and it's become on our shoulders, and I think we've kind of accepted it, saying we're just people, we're not different, we're people.
Yeah, the boundaries are breaking down all around us, so we just keep pushing it further.
Are you doing like an automated voice machine thing?
Right now, yeah. Well, they're busy. Apparently a lot of cars are towed here in DC.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for an agent. How did we not see the sign that said no parking, standing, blah, blah, blah?
I don't know. I don't remember looking at it.
I mean, it's not a big deal now, but...
John.
Yeah.
Come over here.
What?
Morning, kid.
Morning, where's your car at?
Hopefully they towed it.
Hopefully they towed it and it wasn't stolen in my ghetto. Yeah.
So what's the parking situation like here in DC?
It kind of sucks. It's really hard to find parking, and when you do, they steal your car sometimes or they tow it. That was an expensive game of rock, scissors, paper there.
Well, it wouldn't have mattered. Well, it didn't matter, actually. Because it was no parking at 7 a.m.
Tell us about the game and how we decided who was going to move the car in the morning.
It's rock, scissors, paper. It's what you do is you hit your hand 3 times with a closed fist, and on the 4th time, you can change the position of your hand, like the formation of it. And there's 3 different formations in rock, scissors, paper. There's the rock, so you go rock, and then there's scissors, and then there's paper. So scissors cuts up the paper, rock pounds the shit out of the scissors, and the paper covers the rock. So Derek here lost twice in a row by throwing out those trusty scissors. 2 straight games, Ray threw out the trusty rock, and he pounded the shit out of the scissors, so Derek was the loser.
And what was the deal on the game of paper, rock, scissors, best 2 out of 3?
Whoever lost had to go remove the car at 9:30, so it probably would have been towed anyways, whoever won, but there's a chance that it wouldn't have been towed. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's all speculation at this point until we know if it was actually towed or stolen.
If it was stolen, the movie's over.
We might be in DC another day or 2.
That's cool. You guys are welcome to stay.
Dude, where's your car?
Alright, dude, so I walked to my car today, this morning. Turns out we parked it in a completely illegal spot instead of what we thought was a 2-hour parking, and it's been towed. So I'm on the phone for like an hour and a half.
On hold, not talking
on hold,
to anybody.
not talking to anybody, just listening to the do. And
how was it like?
It was do. Anyway, so I'm on the phone with these fools, and they don't say anything. I'm on hold.
Do you need to spit?
Huh?
Do you need to spit?
I'm cool. Alright. So eventually I hang up and I'm like, let's just call it non-emergency police. We do, like, seriously, a second. I'm like, I think we have a report. I need to report a missing vehicle. I'm not sure if it was towed or not. She's like, yeah, it's been impounded. It's on the 16th block in Harvard. And I was like, dude, seriously, a block from our house right here. And it's right there. We got a $100 ticket, and I'm so happy. I've never been more happy about a freaking $100 ticket.
There's going to be a huge surge in creative life. So much so that I can imagine a decoupling of that from the X-built celebrity world into something that's much more of a middle class, of kind of a solid base of a lot of filmmakers and a lot of theater companies and a lot of writers producing for each other, not becoming stars, but having a market of each other. The entertainment industry absolutely doesn't see it coming, but it's there. It's just so apparent. You look at what happened with music and downloads, and what's the response of nearly everybody other than Steve Jobs? Nearly everybody fights it, sue those kids. How does the entertainment industry think that it's going to have a lifelong adherence from a millennial market if they continue to lecture you about how piratical you are, how criminal you are, how wrong you are, how you need to understand copyright? Back in the 60s, would boomers have blasted through copyright in a heartbeat? There are going to be major companies that are going to suffer in a huge way by the time this is all done. It started in music, and it's unstoppable in music. And it's just now hitting film, and it's going to be unstoppable in film. And who knows what's going to be left to television by the time you really focus on that. But today's young people are just not going to be denied in any of these creative realms. They are so gifted, and the consequences are going to be thrilling and overwhelming.
Only in modern society can
Yeah.
making spitting noises into the microphone get you somewhere.
Exactly.
At least we hope.
At least we hope.
Taking the world by storm.
Rob, how long have you had a website up?
Since, wow, like 8th grade, I guess. Putting my music online. Because, you don't need music labels, you don't need any of that. The reason that the record industry doesn't need to exist is twofold. People don't realize it's also the MP3s. Yeah, it's also, yes, the fact that we don't need to buy CDs, you don't need to distribute CDs, we don't need them. But also, like this, I can just do this in my room, and this sounds better than what anybody could do fucking 10 years, 15 years ago. So, you know, just musicians can record them damn selves and promote them damn selves. And you don't really need the record industry to exist. And all those people are crying about losing their jobs, but they're jobs that don't need to exist. So,
Very true.
So whatever. I'm just going to market myself over the internet and become big in Poland or something.
Millennials came along at a time when technology, the digital realm, the web, was pad and paper. It was there. It's not something that they came of age with. It was there for them at the start, and so it was a very natural thing for them.
I think a lot of the things they are doing is through technology, and also in the context of groups, which is something that older people never managed. Boomers know nothing about how to use culture in a group setting. It's just inconceivable. I think millennials spend much more of their time finding out much more interesting and usable and I should say democratic ways of enjoying the culture, of putting different parts of the culture together, of certainly of manipulating the culture, of framing it, of sharing it, of just doing things with it, which I find millennials are so creative about. Particularly, we've already talked about this, the group aspect of the way millennials use and share culture. You know, designing CDs for each other, doing your you know, the podcasting and all that, basically customizing their own cultural creations. One of the most interesting things, by the way, about millennials is how they are using information technology and exploiting its group potential, how to bring people together in order to get collective things done. This is not something that boomers ever did with technology. And in fact, boomers created the personal computer to get information technology away from the system, the mainframe. Boomers wanted one computer on everyone's desk, so they would be alone. They could be creative on their own, right? No one would be, that was liberation. And boomers in so many ways have used technology to individuate the culture in so many ways. And Gen X kind of took that and exploited it, you know, with the internet and everything else. What's fascinating with millennials is how, and I know that with my own kids, and I know, you know, the first thing they do when they come home, and everyone has this experience, they use, what do they do with the technology? Email, chat room, instant messaging. I mean, it's just connect with each other. It's the first thing they do. And then they do all these amazing things with that connectivity.
Alright, we are here in San Francisco with an enormous statue of Christopher Columbus, who, as we all know, discovered San Francisco in 1492 aboard his ships the Nina, the San Jose, and the Palo Alto. This set the stage for a few hundred years later when thousands of other foreign information workers would come to Silicon Valley and begin making millions of dollars. He was the first. We're actually going to go down to Silicon Valley and speak with the creator of Facebook today, so let's get on that. I guess I'll just do a little intro and then we'll kind of go into the interview.
Should I put the beer down?
No, actually I was going to mention the beer. Hard at work. I'm here in Palo Alto, California, chilling with Mark Zuckerberg of the Facebook.com. For the uninitiated or those without a computer, tell us, simply what Facebook is and what it does.
So, I think Facebook is an online directory for colleges, and I mean, it's kind of interactive. So if I want to look you up or get information about you, I just go to the Facebook and type in your name, and it brings me up like hopefully all the information I'd care to know about you, or like a good amount of the information I'd want to know about you.
What is it that you think attracted users?
It's a lot of different individual communities. So I mean, when we originally got started at Harvard, it was just me programming what was a Facebook really at that time for Harvard, because they didn't have anything like that. So I realized that because I didn't have people's information like a school would in making a Facebook, I needed to make it interesting enough so that people would want to use the site and want to like put their information up, or else it wouldn't be useful for other people and therefore it wouldn't grow. So launched it at Harvard in early February of 2004, and within a couple of weeks 2/3 of the school had signed up. So at that point my roommates were kind of like, this is pretty cool, like I bet this would work at other schools. But we were all busy with classes and stuff, so we kind of just wanted to make sure that it was going to work before going in like any further with it. So we launched it at 3 schools that also had some sort of online communities. So those were Columbia, Yale, and Stanford. So launched at those 3, and within a couple of weeks, each of those 3 schools also like had thousands of users who were like, all right, this is pretty sweet. Like, let's just go all out and see how many schools we can launch this at as quickly as possible. So we closed out the year with I think 29 schools. Came out to Palo Alto for the summer just to hang out, because Palo Alto is kind of this mythical place where all the startups come from. Got ready to launch it at another 150 schools when the year started, and now it's like we'll go to parties on campus, and like if we end up in someone's room, like there's a Facebook window open, and that's pretty cool. We're like, one of my roommates was traveling around Europe a couple of weeks ago, and he went to internet cafes in like London and Ireland and Italy, and like when he went to Facebook just to check out whether it was still working the way it was supposed to, he'd go to like the login page and it would have like someone else's login there saved from like the last time someone had been on it. And I think like in London he was like 2 of the people in the internet cafe were on the Facebook at the time.
Another thing we were talking, like it sort of inspires like people to actually meet out in public.
Yeah.
Like it's not just an online community. Have you noticed stuff like that?
Yeah, I think that the goal that we went into it with wasn't to make an online community, but sort of like a mirror for the real community that existed in real life. So like the Facebook for your school isn't somewhere where people actually go to meet, but like where you go to see like who knows each other, and maybe like sort of a groundbreaker or like icebreaker, so that way you can find out something about people and see who you want to meet, or maybe like if you can like message them, and that's just like a really informal way to like start a dialogue.
And where are you taking Facebook at this point? You're going to expand to those other schools that you're not at, and then what?
There doesn't necessarily have to be more, like a lot of people are focused on like taking over the world or doing like the biggest thing, getting the most users, and I think like part of making a difference and doing something cool is focusing intensely. There's a level of service that we could provide when we were just at Harvard that we can't provide for all of the colleges, and there's a level of service that we can provide when we're a college network that we wouldn't be able to provide if we went to other types of things. So I really just want to see everyone focus on college and create like a really cool college directory product that just like is very relevant for students and like has a lot of like information that people care about when they're in college. So I don't know what that is, and it's not everything that's on the Facebook now.
And we will be down.
Yeah, I know I will be.
I jumped in for about a minute.
Hey dude, the pool looks pretty cool on camera.
Yeah, I bet. It's a classic LA shot, backyard pool. It's like right up there with Palm
Let's go
Beach.
stand by it, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Good idea.
Dude, let's mingle by the pool.
Mingle by the pool. Let's get shots.
It
Dude,
wasn't
let
a
me have
flutter.
this cigar. I want to be big pimpin' on camera, dude. Okay, how am I supposed to do this? I can't inhale, right?
Yeah, just kind of puff on it. Yeah.
Dude, everyone's got to be on cell phones, man.
You gotta pull.
Everyone's got to be on cell phones.
Oh, really?
Dean, get your phone out.
You gotta-
Everyone's got to be on cell phones.
Yeah, alright.
Yeah.
You've got
I don't have my cell phone.
Mine's in my room.
I can't do that.
You don't have it? Well, you grab
I'm
his.
taking his. Okay.
She needs your cell phone.
And the
She's got to
cap.
look big pimping.
This is good?
Yeah, perfect. Let's do. There
Do you
go.
want to do
Now
it?
you- now
Let's
you
do
get
a
it.
mugging shot. Let's do like a pickpocket shot,
Yeah.
dude.
All right, Dean.
Let me see your wallet, dude.
Yeah, you're
Funny
gonna.
thing.
Somebody's gonna see
Paul.
Okay, wait, we gotta do the like
Have a picture
perfect
of that.
pickpocket shot.
What? Yeah, I know.
The LA pickpocket
No,
shot.
the LA pickpocket, dude. Like, Dean, you
Alright,
distract
go
him.
over there, dude. So it's like dark over there.
You distract
Go over there, dude. And go over there. Go right
Okay, no, girl distracts him. Girl
I
distracts
have
him.
to distract you because I'm the girl.
Okay.
Hold on,
Let me have my scar.
Over here.
Let me have my scar.
How
are you gonna
Yeah, no,
distract
it's
him?
shady over here. Let him have the cigar.
We've got no light. We've got no light.
Don't need light.
Go right here. Go right here. Go right here.
No, dude. Wait,
I got some light. 8 feet.
Oh! Yeah, where's the camera, dude?
You didn't notice, like, hey Ray, can I have your cell phone? Hey Ray, can I have your cigar? Hey Ray, can I have your wallet? You didn't hear me say.
Oh man, that's pretty good. I was really confused. Why?
Ray, I'm really sorry, Ray. It was for the sake of the movie, dude.
Ray's like, we need light for the camera. I'm like, no, you don't. Everybody has to be on their cell phones. Yeah, I think I left mine in my.
So are my nipple.
Oh.
Ray. At least we got your phone out in your wallet, dude.
Yeah.
We were planning that for like 20
Sorry
minutes.
about the nipple.
Maybe the keys will still work.
Oh, damn it. Someone get a hairdryer. Yeah, I'll take care of keys, dude. I'll dry it.
It'll be alright.
I'm really proud of everybody here, by the way.
For pulling this off.
That it was played beautifully. Let's get the mugging shot.
How did the word go around? Like, how did everybody like?
You were like, I think it started when
You were
on your
standing
phone.
right there, and I was like, dude, I'm totally waiting for him to fall in the pool. And then, then it just clicked.
Okay.
It like clicked. We're like, let's
Because
throw
you guys
him
had
in.
pulled that off while I was sitting there, like mad at Ross, but.
Yeah, no, dude, we were.
Are you actually blow drying his keys? That's awesome.
Everyone's all cooperating.
I'm like, why are we gonna mug me? Like, what are we filming here? I even said too as we're walking over, I'm like, yeah, this isn't staged.
Oh, good times.
Wow.
It might appear to some that I am at work, but however, am getting ready for a party.
Yeah. What's up, dude?
This way you can get audio.
Not jackknives,
No,
cannibal.
cannibal, come on, Dean. Simultaneous cannonball for the camera.
Yeah.
Wait, is that safe?
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Everyone go. Just say, that's my space. I'm right here.
Right where that thing is.
I'm right here.
You gotta fucking rock the pool. See like.
Alright, I'm just ready. Okay.
All right, I'm right here.
Wait, where are you going, Paul? Like,
Right the fuck here.
I'm just going up and down, just
me
straight
too.
up and front.
Basically, yeah.
Ready? On 3. 1, 2, 3.
That was totally gay.
What happened?
how did it look? Paul's like, that was totally gay. Awesome, dude.
That's fucking awesome.
I know.
No, I'm gonna do cannonball. You guys ready?
Yeah. I'm coming in and splash that.
Oh, shit. Oh my god. Look at this pool, dude.
Yes, that was awesome, dude. That was so awesome. Oh, I'm doing it again.
Oh, fuck,
Doing
man.
that shit again. That was so fucking.
Hey, hold on. If you like put like a ladder.
You know, why are you in a rock band? Why are you working on it?
Growing up, you know, you reach a certain age, you become very interested in music, and you know, if you become a musician at some point, you enjoy playing music, and when you're playing original music, it's really great when you find something that you're really inspired just to play.
I think what drives it is the passion to force expression, your self-expression, through something that is tastefully imposing, like rock music, which is loud, and you know, I think what sets us apart, you know, from the rest of the rock bands that are out there, is a very original sound and style of songwriting that pushes an envelope, but also kind of has enough familiarity to appeal to a very large universal sort of demographic.
Talk about your shows. Like, I mean, what are your shows like?
We are trying to grab the attention of younger people, people in their early teens. We also, however, want to be respected by older crowds as well, more mature adults. So, I mean, I think that right now how we're promoting, we are getting a lot of younger people showing up to our shows.
How does that work? Like, I mean, marketing wise, how do you use things like MySpace? Tell us a little bit about MySpace and like what it means for bands.
MySpace was good, I guess, in the beginning because it kind of like spawned off the whole Friendster thing, where it's kind of like, you know, it's fun to have, you know, a blog type internet thing where all of the friends you know, have the same thing and you're linked and you can kind of jump around and all this. Actually, when MySpace came out, it was the same thing and it was blue and white, whatever. I didn't really give a shit about it. But the thing is that as soon as they started incorporating the XML players and allowing bands to, you know, upload their music, it became, you know, an extremely dangerously high potential way of promoting your music. I'm thinking to myself, okay, if we have a few of our songs up online, instead of just, you know, like in MySpace, if you want to add a friend, like if you're a band, like Stasera has a MySpace page. If you want to add a band, or rather, if you're a band and you want to add friends, you would, you know, go and find people and add them randomly. But instead of randomly adding them, like clicking on add this person as friend, add this person as friend, send them a message first, a greetings letter, telling them who we are, what our passions are, what we plan to do with our band, why we want them to be involved, and then code in, you know, three actual QuickTime players into the message, so people can actually play your songs on the message, which I believe gives them a better kind of conduit to remember who we are. They had to listen, they had to read the message, be impressed by it, listen to the players, and then, because the message says, we're not going to add you randomly as a friend. We want you to take the prerogative to add us. If you enjoy these songs, thank you for your time. Play, play, play. If they dig it, they add us. So yeah, I guess that's important because, you know, now we promoted it to all these people who definitely remember our message, remember our letters, and when they come out to our shows, you know, they get to see a very intense live performance and they just remember the band forever. So it's a good thing.
Yeah, tell me about last night. You know, like what was the thing last night at the Consortium?
Moonlight Consortium. I think a lot of bands make the mistake that, okay, if they added themselves or you added them on your MySpace buddy list, they're a fan forever. They're gonna come to all your shows. That's total bullshit. I was there when the only thing you could do was go to Fitzgerald's in Houston and like, you know, I was like fucking 15 years old and I'm passing out flyers every night, and that's what got people to shows, shaking their hands. Oh, cool! It's a great Smashing Pumpkins shirt. Didn't know you liked the Gish album. Or, I didn't know you knew about the Posies. Make these fucking, like, connections with these people. That's what, you know, making a physical connection with people, I believe, is what, you know, got them into a lot of the music I was doing earlier. So with us, I was like, okay, let's do this. Let's go ahead and have a fan club meeting. Find the most rabid ones. Let's start with 25. Invite them over. And the first Moonlight Consortium was a total hit. People loved the idea. They came, we had food and drink, we had 3 bands playing, and it was a totally cool thing. So it just kind of evolved into Moonlight Consortium number 3, which was last night. It worked out really well, and it was a lot of fun. That was our way of promoting, having the physical contact with the fans.
Most of y'all have day jobs. So what's that like balancing with, you know, the bands?
It's hard. It is very, very draining. You decide at some point with the whole band music thing, you make the decision, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to dedicate at least this part of my life to. I want to give 100% of my energy to this. Now, as most people, young people our age, if they do this, will find place they will find themselves is that, you know, most parents are not, they don't believe, you know, following, you know, especially being a rock band and wanting to devote your life to doing that. That's not something that really jives with the older generations. They don't really understand that. They see that as either a waste of time, or B, you're wasting your intellectual and financial gifts and whatever the reason. It's very typical for people that want to do this for one reason or another, to find themselves on their own. When I told my parents that this is what I wanted to do, they said, well, then you'll be on your own because we wanted you to go to school. So I find myself, okay, I have to work. Now, I've had jobs before, and what I end up doing is, I have a job out here, and so my time is basically divided between, okay, I have to put in a certain amount of time into the band to get done what has to get done. I have a job that, luckily, the way it works is that I can talk to my boss and say, okay, in this upcoming month, I absolutely have to take off this day, this day, this day, and this day. It changes. Sometimes it's 5 days in a month, 2 days, 10 days, whatever. Because we've figured out with the band that there are going to be things we are doing that I must be a part of if this is really priority number one in my life. I sometimes get into routines of work a 12-hour day, work a 13-hour day, work a 15-hour day, and the next day rehearse with the band all day or several times a day, and then that day after that play a show, maybe not get home, with the whole show thing until 2 or 3 a.m. and be extremely exhausted, and then have to work at 8:30 a.m. the very next day after playing an extremely intense show.
And when you're doing that, what's the motivating factor? Why don't you say, no, I'm staying in bed today? Why are you doing it?
You make the decision because you say, I am so passionate about this that I don't care how hard it is. Hard does not scare me. It's not impossible, it's just difficult, but it's going to be that much more rewarding succeeding when it is difficult. So, every day when I'm working, my motivation to keep doing it and to make money and just to get by is that I'm doing this to make the best, so that I can continue doing the band, and this is what I love doing. And if I have to work my ass off, get little sleep, and tire myself out, if that's what I have to do to make this work, then that's what I'll do. If I had to do something else, if it was somehow different, then that's what I would do. Whatever it would take, no matter what happens, failure, any success, whatever, it will always have been worth it. If we had done it for 2 months and failed, or if we did it for even not just 10 years, 20 years and completely fail, it will always have been worth it because I have learned so much, and I have grown as a person. And yeah, like Nathan said, a character building experience. What more is life than one big class, one big learning experience? So that's why I'll never regret it.
If for whatever reason, if the band did have to terminate, I would say this. I can't really cover more than what they said. Character building, life's a huge class. Sure, there's so many positive things that come out of this every day. We didn't plan this consortium for you guys. You know what I'm saying? You guys decided to pop in with a camera one day, and look what you got to see at this house in the past couple of days. You smoked a few cigars, had a lot of wine. You fucking experienced a really awesome creative gathering last night. And you had a great time doing it. You're swimming in our pool. This guy's Ray sunbathing. And next to topless Susan out there sharing a fucking
glass of wine.
No, bottle. Entire fucking bottle.
The same bottle.
That's a coincidence. You guys walked in and eavesdropped on our lives for 3 days. It's no less intense when you guys leave tonight or the next day. And so there's definitely gain in every single way. Spiritually, emotionally, socially, artistically, technically. There's gain every day. So if it died, I'd have a fucking smile on my face. You'd have to jackhammer off.
People always feel at the lip of the future. They always feel modern. They always feel as though they are the most advanced thing that's come along. And thousands of years from now, let's hope that there are people who look back and there have been another several hundred generations beyond that, and every one of them is going to feel on the lip of the future. And who knows what the course of human civilization will play out to become. And we should never think of ourselves at the end of a story, but rather in the middle or even towards the beginning. you think about it that way, you can have a little more modesty about what your own generation is achieving, as well as a greater appreciation for how you have more in common with somebody who lived 100 or 200 years ago than you might think, and that the lessons that they experienced in their relationships with people and with the events of their time have more consequence to you than you realized. History is very important because it's full of stories, it's full of lessons, it's full of families, it's full of the same kinds of things that we see in our own lives, and it enriches us because it broadens our friendships, it broadens our base of understanding of ourselves.
What I learned, I'm not as scared about the future. I'm actually excited about it. I don't think it's going to be as bad as people have said it was going to be.
This is your one life. The world waits as your grand audience to see you take front and center stage. From the first days, you map the plot you play in the story of life. What role will you portray? What do you see when uninhibited you dreaming? Staring through the sky to the stars and the moon beaming. See, I know you could be anything really. Don't be told your dreams are irrational feelings. Every boy's born an astronaut, every girl's a princess. Dreams are endless when pursuits become relentless. One day those Tonka trucks do move mountains. Hearts in the right place, possibilities are boundless. People give opinions about the future of the youth. You walk in proof that only you know the truth. You can listen, spend your whole life studying the roots, so you can be the one picking the fruits. It's up to you.
You'll swing so high, you'll touch the sky. Your mother will worry that that's too high. But you're amazing, and on eagle's wings, you'll leave the ground behind. You'll swing so high, you'll touch the sky. Your mother will worry that that's too high. But you're amazing, and on eagle's wings, you'll leave the ground behind.
How do you exceed the greatest expectations when your successes disappoint your greatest inspirations? Trying out, do the man who has everything and falls short every time, even living as a king. So fleeting, success can sometimes seem relative in a sense to what you're used to seeing. Depending on the traits upon which you're keen. Matters of perspective tend to measure worth in human beings. Pleasing others, you'll find you're falling short. Never finding strength, seeking out another man's support. Accomplishment is only measured in your own heart. People accept who you are once you left your own mark. The world will share your dream, but can never take it from you. Find confidence inside, you'll need no one to run to, is my belief. We all share a common goal, but with such big dreams we can't all fit down the same road.
You'll swing so high, you'll touch the sky. Your mother will worry that that's too high. But you're amazing, and on eagle's wings, you'll leave the ground behind. You'll swing so high, you'll touch the sky. Your mother will worry that that's too high. But you're amazing, and on eagle's wings, you'll leave the ground behind.
You play the card you dealt, never the card you chose. You take life as it comes, change the way life goes. Man fears his inability to control. As I've heard it told, you gotta let God and let go. Search your heart, don't be fearful of the unknown. True freedom comes from understanding of one's own soul. Facing tall odds by any calculation. Life's a journey, enjoy the ride, reach the destination. Stand strong even in times of desperation. Knowing hope's a state of mind, never the state of the situation.
You'll swing so high, you'll touch the sky. Your mother will worry that that's too high. But you're amazing and on eagle's wings you'll leave the ground behind. You'll swing so high, you'll touch the sky. Your mother will worry that that's too high. But you're amazing and on eagle's wings you'll leave the ground behind. You'll swing so high, you'll touch the sky. Your mother will worry that that's too high. But you're amazing and on eagle's wings you'll leave the ground behind.